Hello, and welcome to another edition of One Bad Veggies Root Beer Review, where in this review we find out if this Hoover sucks. So yeah, in this review we're doing Hoover Dam Root Beer, which is bottled and manufactured by Rocket Fizz. Now, I wanted to take the opportunity this time, because, back when we first started this channel, we had the Rocket Fizz, I don't know what you call it, the big Rocket Fizz. I was trying to review all the Rocket Fizz root beers in a row. Now the thing is Rocket Fizz has a lot of root beers that are character based. They have a lot of root beers that are named after the company itself. However, I wanted to take the opportunity to make a full list of the Rocket Fizz root beers that I personally know about. So I went to their website. And it's pretty interesting because there's probably a good chance that Rocket Fizz might be the largest manufacturer of root beers that there is. Now the thing is I have seen people take them to task saying that, well, then all their root beers taste the same. It's just the same root beer, just in fancier bottles. Where I definitely see people arguing that no, there's definitely huge differences. I will say there's obvious ones, like obviously the root beer float doesn't taste like Three Stooges because it's not supposed to taste like a root beer float. It's supposed to taste like a root beer, right? And I've seen people argue that, like, oh no, there's definitely a difference between something like Gene Autry and Chumley. They definitely taste different. And I agree with that, actually. But there is an interesting argument to be made, and I would be very curious to see if anyone's kind of gone into this more, or like, am I one of the few people out there that actually would care about something like this? So maybe that kind of research would never actually happen, but which is probably more likely. But I would like to make a complete list of all the Rocket Fizz sodas, so that way we're just kind of aware of just how many that they actually make. So if I look over here, that's because I'm looking at my list that I have on the screen over here. So we have Chumley, which I have reviewed. We have Death Valley, which I also believe I have reviewed. I would actually have to go look that one up. Gene Autry, I know I reviewed. Goldmine Root Beer, I haven't reviewed that one yet. Indian Well Special Reserve, that one I did review, and that's a good example of one that clearly tastes amazing compared to a lot of other root beers that I've had. Hoover Dam, which we're reviewing today. We've got Labrador Butterscotch. I don't think I reviewed that one yet, but we'll find out. Ozark Mountain, I don't think that one's been reviewed yet. Ozell Root Beer Float, I remember that one because we talked a little bit about Disney and everything in that one. Rocket Fizz Root Beer Float, now that's interesting. Does Ozell and Rocket Fizz's taste similar? That would be something I'd be super interested in. I know I'm not a big fan of root beer float root beers, so I'd be curious to see if they do actually share a similar flavor profile. Of course, we have the Three Stooges, and then we get in, then we have the Rocket Fizz Boosted, which is the caffeinated version of the root beer, which I'm not a big fan of, if I remember correctly. And then there was a couple that I remember they weren't on their catalog. You have Kiss Army, which I did review. That's not on their catalog anymore. Maybe their license or whatever is done with it. They also have Dadgummit Butterscotch Root Beer, which is a root beer I know I've seen at Rocket Fizz a long time ago. Maybe they stopped selling it. I have not seen it in a long time, and I would not think I have the opportunity to review it now. And then the other one that I'm really curious about is they have one called Rocket Fizz Double Barrel. Apparently it comes in a growler. I've never seen it on my trips to Rocket Fizz. Maybe it's just always sold out, or maybe it's just another case of one that they don't sell anymore. But as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 root beers, all made by the same company. Or at least manufactured by the same company and bottled by the same company, which usually means it's all made by the same company too. Super curious about that, because some of these I know, like Ozell Root Beer, for example, like they were their own company. I'm wondering if maybe these are companies that were maybe having a hard time in the past, that sold their recipes or whatever to Rocket Fizz, so Rocket Fizz could continue bottling and making it and stuff like that. Where you also have stuff that's just straight up like the Chumley and the Three Stooges, which are just clearly licenses that Rocket Fizz owns and just puts on bottles of a root beer recipe that they have. But I know this kind of off the normal path that we usually go down. It was just, I pulled out the Hoover Dam and I saw the Rocket Fizz logo on the side, and considering that I had thought that I had had every Rocket Fizz root beer that existed, I thought it would be really interesting to go in and see all the different root beers that they make and really, have a discussion about, like, I wonder how different they actually are. If I tasted some of these back to back, does Three Stooges and Chumley root beer really taste that difference? I know that Gene Autry, for example, John Wayne root beer, that's another one that's not on the list. So that's 17. I just remembered that one. John Wayne root beer is another one. I don't think I have reviewed it yet, but there is a John Wayne root beer but yeah, perfect example. Gene Autry and John Wayne root beer. Do they taste the same? Do they both taste like cowboys? Fictional cowboys? Let's find out in the future. Anyway, Hoover Dam. Let's go ahead and, get into the ingredients. So here are the ingredients, which should be appearing right here. And something interesting about these ones right away is no sodium benzoate, no normal, none of the normal kind of preservatives that I normally see. But it does have something in it called ester gum, which I've never seen before. Apparently, and let's go ahead and get a look at the bottle here. Apparently, ester gum is a solution that they put into foods to separate water and oil for some reason. I'm not sure exactly what it does to a root beer, but as far as our last conversation goes, it does say a lot, the fact that even though Rocket Fizz is making all these root beers and they're manufacturing all these different root beers, clearly there are different recipes for them, because I do not recall seeing ester gum in any other root beer that I have reviewed before, and the lack of normal preservatives is interesting as well. So I'm curious if it will make a difference to the flavor. As you can see, one thing I'll say about this label is it's hard to kind of tell, and let's see if I can move it around a little bit and you can see what I'm gonna say here. No, it's not super obvious. The gold writing on it actually is kind of like a reflective metallic sort of texture, and the label itself is like a much higher quality than I'm used to seeing on Rocket Fizz root beers. Sometimes they do kind of give this deluxe feature to it. I can think of I've seen the labels for Gold Mine. I remember the Indian Wells Reserve, this one. Labrador, I think Labrador root beer has another kind of fancy label instead of just like a normal kind of paper sticky label that a lot of them have. But I do think that's just kind of interesting, and it might just be that's how they decided to do this one. I did notice that on the side there's a little joke about damn good root beers, damn spelt like Hoover Dam. I was gonna make that joke, and then I saw it on the bottle and I was like, they already beat me to it, I'm not gonna do it. Anyway, yeah, so that's interesting stuff. I'm curious for sure to see how this one tastes. So, but before we get to that, we have to see how it smells. So let's go ahead and open it up and get some of the scent. All right, let's go ahead and crack her open. I think it's a twist open, but you know what? My soft hands can't always handle these hard metal. All right. There we go. Oh no, this is a pop top. There we go. Pop. All right, that's also kind of different for Rocket Fizz. Rocket Fizz usually has twist tops. This one's a pop top, as you can see. There's no focus camera. There we go. You can see there's no lining to close it or whatever. So yeah, interesting stuff. Let's go ahead and I like the scent of it. It smells there's a good mixture of the things that I like and the things that I don't like, actually. I'll say that. There is definitely, I feel like, let me smell that again. It does smell like it's heavy on the rooty licorice sort of flavors, the anise, but it's not overwhelming. I like the sweet sort of background scent that it has too. This one is quickly becoming kind of exciting to see how it's going to taste in the end. I always like it when the scent almost confusing in a way. Maybe confusing is not the right word, but when you don't know what to expect. Because a lot of times you get these root beers, you get the scent, and sometimes there's barely any scent, and you're just kind of, okay, let's see what it is. And then sometimes you get a strong hint of what it's going to be, and it's not a surprise at all, and you're just kind of like underwhelmed by it all. But this one's interesting. I'm curious. I'm very curious. So let's go ahead and get to the pour and the foam. So here we go. We have our trusty mug ready to go, and let's go ahead and crack this open and see how aesthetically pleasing it is. Not a super tall head, but definitely a head there. Let's go ahead and get us a little taste of that before it goes away. So I mentioned a lot in the past about how some foams give you the back taste, the aftertaste, kind of before you actually drink the root beer. Like a lot of times when I've had foam in the past, like let's say something has like a really nice vanilla aftertaste or something like that. Sometimes you get the hint of that in the foam when you try it. But a lot of times you get kind of flavorless, almost bitter foams. This one I'll say is mostly flavorless. So nothing going on too much there. So otherwise, I think aesthetics wise, I think it was a very nice looking root beer. It didn't overflow, which I don't mind when it overflows because that's pretty fun. But ahead, and here we go. We're it's mostly dissolved, but there's still a little bit of foam kind of at the top. So I think that's actually pretty good. So as far as like being, a nice looking root beer for photos or whatever, I think it's a nice looking root beer. So let's go ahead and get into the taste test. Bottoms up. So, here's where I'll go with this one. So, it is mostly middle of the line. However, the flavors that I'm not crazy about, as you all know, are kind of the anise and the spices and stuff. So I will say it's got a nice aftertaste as I'm sitting here absorbing it and everything. I actually really enjoy the aftertaste quite a bit. And very vanilla. And I think that's actually going to change my score because, I'll talk about it when I get to the score, but, it is balanced, I think, in a way. I think that the flavors that, again, like I said, I am not particularly fond of are kind of more on the forefront than the flavors that I'm more into, which are kind of like the sweeter vanilla sort of stuff, the creamy root beers, That's not necessarily saying that I think this one's bad. In fact, like I said before, it's kind of more in the middle. And, it's a root beer. Like, no way. But what are you talking about? No, but you know what I mean when I say that. I mean, it's a good middle of the line. Anyone can have it and probably like it kind of root beer. There's nothing super standout about it. Pretty normal set of flavors. Like I said, I think it leans more on the side of the stuff that I'm not as crazy about than it does on the stuff that I do like a lot. But I don't mean that it's bad, because I think it's actually it's good. It's good root beer. Let's go ahead and get into the letter grade, because I think I can kind of expand on this a little bit more when I start talking about what the grade that I'm going to give it. So my grade for this one, let me sit up a little bit. So my grade for this one, I'm going to give it a C. And originally, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk about the score a little bit more. Originally, I was going to give it a D because, like I said, the flavors that I am particularly fond of are behind the ones that I'm not particularly fond of. However, the ones that I'm not particularly fond of are not overpowering either. So I can't necessarily say that I disliked it. In fact, I did like it. It's good. I gave it a C. The reason I was going to give it a D was because, also because of the same reason that I'm saying, because the other flavors were heavy. However, the saving grace of this one is that the back end is very sweet, is very creamy. I actually really like that about it. And it's got a pretty good bite too while you're drinking it. I think it's good in that way too. Like there's negatives and positives to it. So it's hard for me to give it a D when there is enough positives for me to go ahead and give it a C. Like, especially considering that D is usually what I consider to be a bad root beer. And this isn't a bad root beer at all. It's good. It's just, I think other people might like it even more than I do, which is true of, any root beer, really. Even some of the ones that I rate a D. I'm sure there are people who have a completely different palate that I do that think all my D's and F's are stupid and are the best root beers and everyone should have those ones. I'm sure Virgil fans especially are people like that. But no, this one I'm good with it being a C. So yeah, C. So that's it for this review. Of course, as always, you can like and subscribe or just watch the videos or whatever you want to do. You can comment. I don't care. Just enjoy the videos. I will say my plans for this one, well, my plan definitely for today at least, is I'm going to put out 2 reviews on this Friday. My normal one at 12 Central, and I'll put up another one at 1 p.m. Central as well. Reason being, obviously, because I missed a couple weeks, because I was on vacation, and because I had a crazy work week. So I was unable to record reviews the last 2 weeks. So to make up for that, you're going to get one at noon tomorrow, today when you're watching this, I guess, and an hour after that. And also because that technically still doesn't put me in schedule, and because I had an idea that I wanted to do for this Friday while you're watching this, I'm probably going to release another 2 on Saturday as well. So you're going to get 4 reviews all in a row in the next couple of days. And on Saturday, you'll understand why I did that and why my original plan was true. My plan was always to release 2 root beer reviews this Friday. And like I said, on Saturday, you'll understand why that is, because it's kind of a special thing. And it's something I've been kind of excited for since I first got these root beers that you'll see being reviewed. And, but otherwise, that's it for now. And I hope you had a good time.